These might be the laziest and slowest roofing jobs you could ever see. At the same time, we managed to achieve an excellent result. We also used extruded polystyrene foam. It really helped us out, saving us both effort and time. I believe that even the most professional roofers wouldn't be able to find fault with the quality of the work. I want to tell you how we turned the tough job of roofing into a simple sequence of steps that most of us can handle. For amateurs who enjoy taking their time with household tasks, professionals charge a lot of money for this kind of work, but money saved is money earned. The work was done during the rainiest summer, but we managed to keep all the space under the roof dry. It appears we also didn't hurt our reputation. The video covers the technology, XPS, and over $1,000 in savings. Just how Yasha Kosiak channel fans like it, let's go through it step by step. Hello everyone. The Underlayment roofing lasted for 18 years and now needs to be replaced. Under it are our shed, bathhouse, and canopy. In the shed, there's my homemade fiberglass boat and many other useful things for the household. There are also plenty of unnecessary things, just like many others. I spent the first day getting settled in and assessing the work ahead. I cut several dismantled sheets into 3 parts and slid them under the next row. This way, at least a sudden rain won't soak the interior space. The junk that's stored outside under the wide overhang isn't as dangerous to get wet, especially in the summer. It'll dry out. The next day, we evenly installed the first row of smooth-oriented strand boards. They kept wanting to slide down and fall over to the neighbors, so I temporarily screwed some board scraps to the eaves. I added ondulant pieces again, so now even a sudden downpour won't get the junk under the overhang wet since the oriented strand boards resist moisture. Then I decided to spend some time on the safety of the upcoming work. Thanks to the fact that things like this were stored in the shed, it turned out to be easy to do. I once took them from a furniture factory. These are parts of innovative sofas that were ahead of their time. I'm fastening the last sheet of the row with screws, which I had to shorten. I attached wooden bars and a metal profile to the parts from the innovative sofas. These valuables were kept behind the shed. I was glad that while I was building the fence, all the other belongings remained safe. I can sense how the former employees of the department for combating the theft of socialist property have become alert. The parts of the sofas were honestly written off from a furniture factory that had stopped production because its products were way ahead of their time. But vigilance is our weapon. Then I moved on to reinforcing the eaves overhang. For this, I lay the eaves boards on edge along the edge of the oriented strand board. At first, I fixed each board with 2 nails. After that, I made sure everything was straight and precise. Only then, with a clear conscience, did I start nailing them down in a staggered pattern, spaced 12 inches apart. I pre-drilled the board with a large screw. It looks great. According to modern roofing science, it's necessary to install an underlayment over the entire surface of the roof, regardless of its slope. Since the slope of our roof has a small angle of about 20 degrees, it was decided to start by using a self-adhesive polymer underlayment. Techno-Nickel underwrap next celt. We rolled it out, cut it, let it settle, and then applied it. Here is the beginning. We rolled out about 4 meters. It started to drift away from the line. No matter how much we tried to peel it off and reapply it, it was already too late. We had to cut the sheet. We made a 15 centimeter overlap and continued. It started drifting, first to the right, then to the left again. We cut it again, made another overlap, and kept going until the end. Because the material was used for the overlap, it wasn't long enough, so we had to add another piece. This is our first try. Not perfect, but not a failure. It'll do. Because the process was intense, some things weren't shown, especially wordplay that can't be translated into other languages. A new day, and we're starting to dismantle the next row of worn-out roofing material. We're exposing things that really shouldn't get wet, our bathhouse and the same old shed. When we were building, funds were running low, and the main goal was to put the facility into operation, so we made a compromise and used inexpensive roofing material. 18 years have definitely taken their toll on it. The southern slope shows this even more clearly. The battens were spaced 30 centimeters, 1 foot apart. The horizontal joint of the next row of oriented strand board landed right between the boards. No similar boards were available to add, so I shift 1 row of battens. We are using oriented strand boards that are not 9, but 12 millimeters thick. For them, let's say the batten spacing can be up to 60 centimeters or up to 2 feet. We install the next row of boards, starting with the leftover piece from the previous row. This way, we achieve the required staggered joints. To start the third row, we use the leftover piece from the second row. Since this is the laziest, most relaxed roof renovation, we just slide the third row of boards under the third row. Underlayment. To prevent the boards from slipping, we screw in temporary stops. We leave 5mm gaps between sheets to allow for oriented strand boards' thermal expansion. I also started the YouTube channel called Yasha Koshik's Songs. Check it out, I'd love to see you there. I'll leave the link below the video. The forecast and familiar signs didn't predict rain, but even if it does start raining, the gaps in the slabs shouldn't cause a universal flood here. This was the only time when the rain had a chance to soak our belongings. A lazy workday ended with us not wanting to spend the evening on Samarezov's roof. We'd had enough of hair for today. A new day, and luckily, it's clear. I can't remember a summer as rainy as this one. The weather only became somewhat predictable in August, which we took advantage of. I'm cutting blanks from the same self-adhesive underlayment, splitting the meter-wide sheet in half along its width. I unroll the strip exactly along the gable overhang, remove a small part of the film from the sticky side, and stick it with a 10 cm overlap onto the eaves strips. I unroll it, the rest is just a matter of technique. On a narrower strip, it's no longer embarrassing to show viewers of the Pesny Yashi Koshika channel. I measured the sheet to the length up to the ridge, so the part that can't be glued yet, I tuck under the ondulant. Then I use the underwrap next fix underlayment, which is already 110 cm wide. This time I measure and cut the needed length on the ground instead of the roof. The first sheet stuck to the board firmly. Nevertheless, the technique requires additional fastening with roofing nails along the top edge. I'm drawing a guideline again for reference. Since there is a marking grid on the outer side of the underlayment, which can significantly speed up the further installation of the flexible shingle strips, I still have hope. This time to roll out the sheet evenly. On the inside, the bitumen polymer mixture is protected by a metallized film underwrap next fix underlayment. The material is mechanically fixed. As I unroll it, I occasionally nail it in the marked spots. The metallized layer will protect against harmful radiation and hide you from enemy intelligence wiretapping. You can whisper not just in the kitchen, but also in the sauna and the shed. After making sure that this time I rolled out the carpet perfectly along the line, I unleash a barrage of roofing nails on it in the remaining spots marked on the layout. The overlap with the previous row is 10 centimeters, and only in this spot nails aren't needed. Here, a neat bonding of the sheets takes place, and a quality press is done with a wide rubber slipper. Since this time I managed to roll out the roofing evenly, I roll out the next sheet using the markings applied on the previous sheet as a guide. Another barrage of nails. Such tricky manipulations with the roofing are required by the Techno-Nicole instructions. Our lazy method makes it even trickier. If you follow the instructions, the warranty on our chosen flexible shingles is 50 years. That's no joke. I studied the options for joining the eaves and end strips on the internet. I almost got it right. Now it's time to reinforce the gable overhangs. I'm using Techno-Nicole metal end strips with brown granules. A new day, and at last our goal is about to begin. Installing shingles. I'm not that simple. The previous approach, I made sure to put pieces of Underlayment under there again, not giving the rain a chance to soak the oriented strand board that's not covered by the underlayment and leak under it. Maybe that's why it didn't rain. We stretched a string and began installing the first row of shingles, which is the most important. I'm checking alignment with both the string and the eaves. I coat each shingle strip with a thin layer of Technonical Fixer mastic, step back 2 cm from the eaves strip bend, then glue and nail it down with 5 nails. After laying the second row without mastic, we install the first snow guards. I used to think that on roofs with a low slope, like ours, snow guards weren't necessary. But after studying the issue more deeply, I found out that even on such roofs, there can be situations where the snow and ice can shift and tear the shingles. You can't have too much of a good thing. We cut the corners off the strips of shingles that are adjacent to the end caps. We apply fixer mastic in a 10 cm strip along the edges, keeping the layer as thin as possible. Install the second row of snow guards on the 4th shingle row and the 3rd on the 6th row. For our slope, Železniak set the step at 66 timi or 2 feet, fastening them in a staggered pattern. Well, it's beautiful, evening again, that's enough for today. To avoid overexertion, I chose an easier way to lift the heavy roofing material onto the roof. I lift 1/3 of the package at a time. My younger son helps me a lot. Due to his tough age, my helper usually prefers to stay in the background. Our shingles are called Shingless Country Brown Technonical. They are double layered with a dragon tooth cut. Lay them by alternating among 3 packs. We've reached the second row of the underlayment, which we managed to roll out exactly parallel to the eaves. From here, use the horizontal marking lines as a guide. Nail down the underlayment using these markings. As you can see, the shingles are coming out very straight and the length of the slope is just about 12 meters, almost 40 feet. Let's go. On the first day, as I got started, I measured the slope's width in various spots. The ridge is parallel to the eaves with an accuracy of just a few millimeters. That's great, since there's no need to stretch the diagonal by shifting each row to one side. The line remains perfect. Before the rain that was clearly about to start, I might have acted on my own initiative. I not only nailed it, but also glued the fixer to the carpet with mastic on the row where we finished our shift. That might be unnecessary, but I thought if water doesn't get between the shingles and the carpet, that's better than if it does. We're using the old wooden ladder. I screwed it to the roof, and now you can move across it much faster. That's a big advantage of old wooden ladders. They can be quickly screwed in place. But there's also a downside. I overdid it a bit, the top step broke, and I hit my foot pretty hard on the edge of the end strip. I was lucky to grab something and avoid falling. My dad gave me a life hack for reinforcing wooden ladders, so I decided to use it. My leg was hurting, so I added an upgrade of my own. It's one thing for me, but it's better not to risk my son's health. I wasn't just sliding Underlayment pieces in, I was also temporarily securing them with screws in the top row. We also have wins here. It's a new day, and we're starting another push. My skill at dismantling the old roof was improving right before my eyes. When I was preparing for this job, I talked to some serious professionals in roofing. They suggested fully removing the old roof first so I could check the roof's evenness before installing the oriented strand boards. Over the years, something might have sagged or warped. If the roof is uneven, it should be leveled. If it rains, get a large tarp. Simple, but with a 12 by 12 meter tarp, I worry we won't have time to spread it out quickly if a thunderstorm hits, especially with strong winds. In older buildings, I agree, it wouldn't hurt. I think 18 years is a young age for real estate. I remember well how everything was built. There shouldn't be any major flaws ahead. Secondly, even if something does come up, it's just a utility shed standing in the back of the yard, not a palace at the entrance to Rubliovka. The oligarch neighbors won't laugh at you. A slight crookedness might even add some rustic authenticity. That's how I reasoned before making the decision. I've been looking for you, and here you are. Replacing an old roof with a new one is almost always a hassle. You have to hire a professional crew, and you'll probably end up nitpicking their work and ruining your mood. Or you call in your relatives and friends, and then you end up owing everyone. But I wanted to work without any stress, without debts, to be able to stop and take a break at any moment without risking any damage to my property. And we did take such breaks. For example, during the rains, Family Duty even sent us to my parents' place for a week. There, we carried out a major upgrade of the old kitchen set, added many modern features to it, and made life easier for the retirees. We glue the carpet details higher on the gable overhangs. Rolling out the carpet with mechanical fastening is actually a piece of cake for 2 people. The key is to remember to remove any screws that may have fallen under the last strip. After all, a rubber slipper is an excellent tool for this job. We've reached the ridge, which we are going to dismantle, and after unrolling another section of the carpet, we put it back in its place by the end of the shift. The bathhouse attic is below, but the rest of the ridge has a canopy, so a little water isn't an issue. At night, the rain didn't stand a chance again. Above the bathhouse attic, they're widening the gaps with an electric jigsaw for the effective operation of the ridge aerators we plan to install. To finally close up the slope, we add strips of oriented strand board. The electric jigsaw handles the board in no time. There's nothing more beautiful than walking along the ridge of a roof you built with your own hands. I had some extra self-adhesive underlayment, so I used it on the ridge. We preferred moving on the self-adhesive underlayment. It feels like quality gym flooring. Both underlayments are anti-slip. If my partner had a bit more life experience than my younger son, we probably wouldn't even need to put up the safety railing. The risk of slipping on such a gentle slope, especially with these underlayments, is low. But I think it's better to be safe than sorry. Using self-adhesive material for waterproofing where the roof meets pipes proved very convenient. Everything is ready for the next push. In the emerging new burst of work enthusiasm, we opened the second 5 kilograms of roofing nails. Shinglass Country Soft Shingles. Thanks to the dragon tooth cut, it doesn't require pattern alignment. The offset of the shingles in the next row, relative to the previous one, can vary from 15 to 85 centimeters. There shouldn't be any specific rule for matching the pattern. That's exactly what I was trying to pay close attention to. Randomness, though simple, is a form of selection for those used to seeking patterns. We still managed to keep a clear line. Dashju couldn't wait to start checking the new roof for leaks, and he got right to it. I've already said that I'm a Shokatiak, not as simple as I might seem. I expected this and didn't regret using some fixer on the row before the rain. Maybe this is unnecessary improvisation, but I wanted to do it. To make a reliable and watertight connection between the soft roofing and pipes or walls, the instructions recommend using a triangular strip, which can be made from a 50 by 50 millimeter wooden bar cut diagonally along its length. It's easy for bloggers to do this, most of whom are obsessed with collecting as many machines and tools as possible in their huge workshops. But for us ordinary people, it's not that simple at all. For fun, take a 2-meter wooden beam, 50x50, and try cutting it diagonally lengthwise with a handsaw. You can also use a regular wooden baseboard, but if I drop everything and go to the city to get it, it'll take at least half a day. You know how it is. You have to stop here, drop by there. That's why I decided to use my favorite material, extruded polystyrene foam. Gluing and cutting triangular slats from it is a piece of cake. A bit more self-adhesive carpet, and it looks like I'm getting double preliminary waterproofing. They're also great for fixing defects. The sleeved stainless steel and the brick sauna pipe in this spot never get hot. The sauna is only heated for a short period of time, and the pipe just doesn't have time to get noticeably warm. The barbecue pipe, which is under the canopy, doesn't heat up at all, so I think that's fine too. I also foamed the seams. The old metal joints don't fit here anymore. The height is wrong. I decided to make new ones, but not from metal, from a bitumen membrane. This way, I don't have to deal with greedy tinsmiths who are always looking to mess things up. For this, I make special templates. It turned out to be convenient to cut a piece of Yandavani carpet and mark points on its back side, then connect them with lines and cut off the excess. At this spot, we took turns working with the rain. After each of my steps, the rain would immediately check the waterproofing. When the new roofing materials arrived at the very beginning, I enlisted my son and his cousin to unload them and move them to the other end of the yard. The guys really worked hard. And when I said that now all that was left was to install it on the roof, I got the answer that there was no way to do it without professionals. Only a few weeks have passed, and now the younger one thinks that the hardest part was actually the work as movers. That's why you have to study, study, and study again, as the great Grandpa Lenin said. The salary of even a third-class roofer is higher than that of a good mover, and the work is much more intellectual. I found the main information about installation at pipe junctions in the Techno-Nicol manual. It has all the basic dimensions, but I made some changes myself. The manual says that if the pipes are made of brick, they need to be plastered and primed first, and the templates should be glued with fixer onto the primed surface. It sounds easy, but in reality, the primer won't stick to plaster that hasn't set yet. So just because of the pipes, you can lose several days. For us, that's not an option. What an incredible luxury. On roofs with slopes up to 45 degrees, 5 nails suffice per piece. The outer ones are hammered at a distance of 25 millimeters from the edge. For guidance on where to hammer, there is a special strip. To speed up the work, I use the method from Yasha Kosyak. I glue the template to the roof with fixer, and to the pipe, I use polyurethane construction adhesive foam. I apply the foam generously, press it to the pipe, pull it away from the pipe, wait a few minutes, and then finally glue it in place. Adhesive foam, the valley membrane sticks to the brick permanently, without any plaster or primer. But I must warn you, this method is completely untested. We're doing this at our own risk. My intuition says everything will be fine. In the central region, raise the material at least 30 centimeters up the pipe. I have less because I don't want to weaken the brick with new grooves. The wind rose here is such that there's never much snow on the roof. It never leaked through the old low joints. You don't need to remove the film from this kind of tile before installation. We cut the tile with a regular, not even reinforced utility knife from the back side. This is an abutment strip from Techno-Nicole. After installing it and rewatching the video, I understood. People who aren't involved in this kind of work might get the impression that everything is done instantly. Fairy tales move quickly, but real life isn't that fast. It took us 3 weeks to do the work, and that's just for one slope. If you set aside the bragging typical of us bloggers, to be honest, those weeks weren't that lazy. During the first 5 days, as my body adjusted to constantly climbing stairs, I sometimes felt in the evenings like I might not make it. Kondrati, overall the work isn't hard, but there are just so many different tasks. Honestly, there are a ton of things to do. Could this kind of work have been done faster? If we were around 25 or 30 years old, then maybe. Yes, we just couldn't manage to work any faster. Maybe I'm just used to coming up with and implementing super simple and easy construction methods, so that's how I worked. Basically, I'm just lazy. Colleagues, if you're lazy too, I recommend you measure your strength and abilities. Go ahead, tell me again how building XPS walls is hard work. Thanks to the tall, warm beds made of XPS, our watermelon season has started. I also decided to install the drainage system right away. This is the Techno-Nicole Optima kit. The box has everything you need. Gutters, connectors, brackets, pipes, even screws. It really is very convenient. To simplify installation, I added boards to the cornice. Otherwise, I would have needed to install metal brackets during the laying stage. Oriented strand board. I start from the funnel, then attach the end bracket. I make a slope of 3 to 5 millimeters per meter. The kit suits roofs up to 6 meters long and eaves up to 3 meters high. It's highly versatile. Our roof slope is almost 12 meters, so we'll need 2 of these kits for one side. Installation is easy and enjoyable. I don't regret not opening the whole roof immediately. After covering the second ridge slope, we'll install ridge aerators above the bathhouse attic. We'll install ridge-to-eave shingles on the ridge. The second slope should go faster. We already know all the details. On the second slope, instead of the old section damaged by hail, a new large transparent section is planned. For it, I hope to use solid polycarbonate, and if everything works out, it should be awesome. I'll talk about this in one of the next videos. A sequence of simple actions, and voila! At night, something flew from deep space and lit up the whole area. Guess what it was? Give a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the Yasha Koshak Songs channel, subscribe to the V Contacted group and Zen. All the links are under the video. Also, hit the bell. I'll keep you updated. Yes, let there be peace everywhere. Thanks.